Hello, everyone. Coming to you on this Monday, January 16th, 2023. Cheers. It's funny how people have given me some really cool cups over the years, and I always end up breaking them, but the ones that I got from my old job, like these ones where you get them from the drug companies, I got a bunch of these. So strange about life, about some of those things, isn't it? Well, people, I want to just kind of riff a little bit today because it's the 16th of January, and that is Martin Luther King Day. Now, I'm going to be expressing my personal opinion, and I guarantee you that some of you are not going to like what I have to say. But don't take it personally. This is me speaking from my experience, okay? So, Martin Luther King was very important to me as a child. I was brought up in the church. My grandfather was a Baptist minister, Baptist church, to be specific. I was in the choir and all that. Loved my grandfather. To this day, it's like his presence is still very big. I look like him as much as I look like my dad, maybe more so my grandfather, my mom's dad. But when I was coming up as a kid in the 60s, I noticed the things that were happening with civil rights. I was very young, but I noticed the risk and the sincerity in the efforts of people like Martin Luther King in particular. At the time, I was also looking at Malcolm X. Now, because of the times, the picture painted of Malcolm was distorted and painted negatively and incorrectly. So I learned later on that he was as much a peacemaker as Martin Luther King was. But Martin Luther King died for nothing. They just murdered his black ass and got him the hell out of the way. Those are the people who run this country. Those are the people on top. They said we can't have this. We cannot have black people coming up in this world. We want our foot firmly on their necks forever. And Martin Luther King was one of those people who was very influential and also was getting somewhere, in opening doors and changing perceptions and trying to correct the landscape. White people aren't superior. If anything, it's been a historic naked money land grab. In other words, this perception that white, and because of light, is white, light, darkness. It's real easy in a very shallow, simple way, for humankind to have arrived where we're at, where we think white is better, and we know it's not. If anything, the Caucasian race has been the most savage historically, bloodthirsty, and on our part, historically, darker people have been more loving, accepting, and open, and as a result, we've gotten trashed and taken advantage of. So for me, the significance of the day is seeing just how much worse racism is since the day that Martin Luther King was murdered by this country, by our leaders. Whatever they tell you, I know in my heart that it was this country, literally, that killed Martin Luther King. They don't want black people. We're still struggling against it. It's ridiculous. It's really kind of reason why I'm not into this whole idea where I have to represent, and people come over here wondering why do I show so much white music. It's not about me and my personal tastes. I'm a human being, and I've been fighting for civil and human rights since before I was of age. And still, the way that I carry my life and how I do my affairs, I'm here trying to represent now. So this idea that because I'm not playing more black music or I'm not playing hip hop, that's ridiculous. That's no indication of my love for my most direct line of ethnic heritage, because I am also Choctaw Indian. I'm also Irish. My great-grandfather on my dad's side is a white man. My grandmother, my mom's mom, is pretty much almost full-blooded Choctaw Indian. And so, as I've said in the past, because of slavery, I don't know the roots of my blackness. I don't know what tribe I'm originally from or what tribes. So I may have lost you already, and that's fine. Like I said, this channel, no one's paying me to be here, and I make these videos because I want to, so I'll talk about what I want to. So that's the first thing on my mind. Some music for you right quick before I babble some more. I had my good young friend Blake over yesterday. I just love that young man. He's a good person, and he can play some horn. He had not heard this particular album. He knew about Joe Farrell. He hadn't heard this album. I wanted to play the track Motion off of here, which is one where there's a musical figure, and then it jumps off into Free, and they do it really well. And it popped Blake's ears. He said, "Whoa!" I said, "Yeah, I want to do something like this." This is a beautiful album. This is not the original cover. There was the original cover, I think, was a candle, but this is one of my favorite albums. This is a just fantastic album, and look at who's on it, and they deliver. Excellent album. Excellent album. Other thing on my mind is, I shared the thought yesterday on Facebook. It was, I'll read it because I do this stuff on purpose, people. You know, no one's perfect. So do what makes sense to you. Do what you can. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing what makes sense to me as a human being. I wrote that there is no one but you making you think about the stuff that you negatively obsess about. We live in the mind. And people, see, I see through social media that some of my friends are going crazy, but they're driving themselves crazy. They don't get out of their heads, out of their minds. You know, I've had a person who doesn't know me leave comments on my videos as though they know me and say, "You ought to get out of that room and go live." You don't know. You don't know what I'm doing. As if I don't. My message is for folks who are too much in their heads. You know, and that's why we live. The reality that we think is everyone's reality is not. Our reality is our perception. And I'm just kind of reaching out to folks who just really need to, like, get a new perspective and do something for yourself so that you don't fall apart. Because I see people falling apart. And no one else can save you. No one else can save you. And Jesus isn't coming. If you hadn't noticed. Okay. So like I said, this is all my personal opinion. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not here to upset you. I didn't say anything against anyone personally. So there's absolutely no reason for anyone to come on here and come at me negatively. You can share your thoughts in a decent manner. I'm interested in your thoughts. But to come over here trying to attack somebody, it's like, that's just stupid. I am not attacking anyone. Look at the video again. I didn't attack no one. I gave you some, okay? You feel me? So, and then next month is Black History Month, the shortest month of the year. I've been pointing that out for years, and it seems like nobody else notices the way I notice, and they always give me these reasons why Black History Month was put there. I said, I don't care about those reasons. It's the shortest month of the year. that alone says a whole hell of a lot. So, Black history is American history. Indian history is definitely American history. The history of all of the immigrants, all of the different people, that's American's history. This ain't white. We need to get over that. And it's pretty obvious that I have a balanced attitude about people because I listen. You can see I love people. I love expression, all types. Like I said, when I went to Japan, people told me, hey, I don't like black people over in Japan, you know. And what I discovered was it's not that they don't like, they love black people. They don't like Americans. It was an eye-opener. I was treated like a king in Japan. Nihonsuki desu, toremo. I love Japan. And I relate to the culture. I don't think I'm Japanese in any way, but I really relate to the Japanese. I really do. Now, this is funny. I'm making a video, and here's Guy Seggers of Universe Zero, Eclectic Maybe Man. Oh, God! Guy is funny. He just sent me a picture where they put Bernie Sanders in the in the wheelchair instead of him. Let me just answer that, and I'm going to tell him I'm in the middle of making today's video. I'm gonna definitely do another online with Guy. These people are my friends. That's what's wonderful. Friends that I haven't met in person yet. But these are my people, and I've always known it. And it goes back to what I said about Beatlemania. One of the things that I was fascinated with about the Beatlemania and the rush of the power of music. And I said, I'm part of this. This is what's important to me. So these alliances, becoming friends literally with people whose music I've been collecting since I was a teenager, it's massively important to me. And these people mean much more to me and have much more to offer that is good to the world than politicians. And I have a history of politics. I have been politically active in the past. It's hopeless. So I didn't play these yesterday, but as I told Blake about the Joe Farrell, I explained to him about the label CTI, Creed Taylor, and the significance of, if you see these CTI records, they're generally pretty much worth getting. I personally, these are not high on my collectability list, but I collect them to a degree. But knowing what Blake likes, I told him, this is a label for you. So I showed him the Joe Farrell Outback with Elvin Jones. This one is dope. It's a monster album. This one I like the cover more than the tunes. It's a pretty good album. But the other two Joe Farrell albums I showed you are actually stronger. But Canned Funk, what a great cover. What a great image. And then this. It's on A&M, but it's a CTI production, as you see. Walking in Space. Fantastic. My Body. I love this album. Quincy, Killer Joe. Matter of fact, that's one of the tracks that I jammed with Calvin Keys. I jammed, had a nice jam session one time with Calvin Keys and Curly Martin, Terrace Martin's dad on drums. And that's one of the tracks that we played was Killer Joe. I showed him this, Antonio Carlos Jobim, because again, it's a CTI production. Again, Wave, another amazing, beautiful track that I used to love to play with my brother Patrick, rest in peace. I was just talking about my brother with someone. I forget. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about stuff, and yeah, I can talk about my brother without breaking down, and I can listen to Miles Davis without getting all emotional, but I can't hear Miles Davis without thinking about my younger brother. So with that in mind, it's like, life and death, they go together. Life is precious. Why are we spending time disliking each other, hating on each other, and feeding into bizarre threads of thinking that pull us up, keep us apart? What sense does that make when all of us are going to die? Why are people so short-sighted because of stuff and money and power, but they can't see the bigger picture that we all are in this together? That's what I got to say about things on Martin Luther King Day. I'll say it again. I've said nothing that is intended to trigger anger or hate. If it's been triggered, examine yourself. What is wrong with you? If you can figure out how to tell me what's wrong, why you're so full of anger and hate towards people that haven't done anything to you, try to explain it to me. Hey, family. Last thing I'll say is this, since this is a bit of a Dear Diary as much as anything, send out some energy to the universe for my older sister Stephanie. She's looking for the next step for her to take care of business. Send out some energy. Some doors need to open. Some ways need to be made. It's going to happen, Stephanie. You're going to be all right.